Doing?
Okay, perfect. So, hi Tristan, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, bud. Yeah, it's been a while since we've caught up.
I think it's been years.
Yeah, it's been some time.
So, for those who don't know, Tristan is actually my first ever mentor, and I wouldn't be in this position without Tristan, nor would I have this office. So, I do owe a lot to Tristan. Thank you very much.
Oh, mate, you're welcome. Like you've absolutely smashed it. You've worked so hard, so it's been amazing to watch you.
Thank you. So, maybe you can tell us more about yourself. How did you get into web design?
Um, well, so I've been in this space for I say 10 years. I think it might have been slightly longer, and it started when I left school. So I went down the traditional educational route, GCSEs here in the UK, A levels, and then went on to university to study web development, which mostly involved me having to learn how to program. There was a little bit of websites in there, but mostly web applications, software engineering. And I very quickly realized that I didn't enjoy that side of things. So within my own time, alongside my degree, I would learn how to use Photoshop. I would learn how to code with HTML and CSS and JavaScript. And ultimately, from there, after getting my degree, it kind of allowed me to have that in my arsenal. And with the self-taught skills of web design, I was able to go and get a job. So I kind of went down the typical educational and corporate route and got my first job as a web designer back in 2012. So that was good. That was good fun, good experience. And from there, really, this job was what we call an in-house web design position, which essentially means you're kind of the web design support for an individual company. And it got boring pretty quickly. I was there for 2 years, or maybe just over 2 years. And then I went to another company as their in-house support. And I was there for 2 years because I got bored. So I quickly realized that actually I wanted to be doing something that was stimulating and interesting and different, which then made me go and get a job within an agency. So within the agency, every client had a different brand. Every client was different. Their needs were different, and so it kind of gave me this constant refresh of all this variety of work that I could be doing. So I really enjoyed it. Um, I think it was 2018. The agency I worked for shut down, and just things weren't working. They didn't have a real sales process in place, and they were relying on word of mouth, and none of us knew how to sell. So it was kind of like I don't want to say sinking ship, but I think it was inevitable that at some point it would close down. And so I then took that opportunity to leave that agency with a couple of the clients that were there and start up by myself, which was awesome. And so that was probably, I think, 2019 when I was properly freelance. I labeled myself as a freelancer, and it was hard. Now, naively, maybe like many, I fell in the category of I can build websites, so I'll be okay because people need websites.
Mhm.
Um, and for God knows how many months I struggled to sell. I would go to networking events and not know how to, pitch my services in a way that wasn't overly salesy and off-putting. Um, yeah, there would be the odd project that would come in. I'd price it stupidly low just so I could secure it, and it kind of gave me that realization that I need to fix this. I need to learn how to go out and find customers, and I need to learn how to sell to them. And
Mhm.
so it was kind of 2019, 2020 when my journey really started, and to kind of where I am now. And that's starting an agency, officially promoting it, acquiring clients, servicing them. And what is it now, 2024? And it's still going okay.
That's good. And would you say it's better to work on keeping a customer or to acquire new customers?
Yeah, great question. Without a doubt, it's keeping a customer. honestly, the amount of work that goes into somebody having to try and sign up a new client, it's all for nothing if they just leave pretty quickly. You're going to make so much more money if you can retain them. And that way things just start to compound. Otherwise you end up with what's called churn, and you're fighting for a new client. They're only with you for 3 months, and you're on this vicious cycle where you're just consistently in a hamster wheel or treading water, however you want to put it. So yeah, I think retaining customers is super important, which is why you need to have your service delivery nailed. Like, there's so many elements, as you know, that go into this whole process of running a business. So yeah, you need to remember the customer needs to be happy.
And how did you get into YouTube? Was your goal with YouTube to acquire more customers, or was it to help other people acquire customers for their business?
Yeah, so I started YouTube back in 2021, maybe 2020. I can't really remember actually. But actually the goal with YouTube was I wanted to get better on camera. So I was never really very good at articulating myself. I was never really good at public speaking. I was never really good at talking to a camera. There's something that happens when you put the camera on. You forget to function. Like, you just change into a different person. And so I kind of wanted to work on improving that. And I had a friend at the time that was doing YouTube, and he was kind of like, you should do it. And I think he only had like a few thousand subscribers at the time, and he was earning a little bit of money from it. So my goal initially was, I just want to get better on camera. I want to educate people where I can. I want to share what I'm doing. And that kind of over time started to then transition into, okay, how could I monetize this? Obviously, there is YouTube revenue, which is nice. I mean, it doesn't pay all that well. But once the channel started to grow and people were interested in it, as a business person, I wanted to look at, well, is there anything I can do to help people further? Is there anything I can do to make all of my investment in terms of time worthwhile by monetizing it? So the initial goal was just to get better on camera, and that transitioned into, how can I use this to build my business? There was never an intention to acquire customers through it, but it happened as a byproduct. So I do think that in terms of growing an audience, whether it's YouTube or anything else, it's honestly a game changer. And I think it's a strategy that everyone should be utilizing, no matter their position.
And from the beginning, was it to position your personal brand in a manner to help you acquire more customers?
Yeah, I would say so. Maybe without even realizing it. I mean, the early videos that I put out, because I was so self-conscious of how I was on camera, I'd look at them and I would cringe, but I'd put them out kind of knowing full well that nobody was really watching them. Like, I think like my first 10 to 20 videos got less than 100 views. So it wasn't until I had someone, like a friend, say to me, I saw one of your YouTube videos. I was like, oh shit, now people are seeing them. And that was probably a year into the journey. And so I quickly then started to realize, well, when I look at other people that I'm interested in, or if I've bought products or digital services from people, they all came from YouTube. And so that's when I realized, well, actually, I could be building a personal brand here. And the personal brand is just you being you. Just go on camera, be you, talk about whatever you find interesting, talk about your business, talk about how you're helping people or results that you've got. And the branding side of things comes from you and your approach. And so, yeah, it's from that aspect, personal branding, it's been super useful.
And one thought process that sort of sticks with me after being mentored by you is to focus on the action rather than the goal. Is that what you had in mind during then as well? Instead of, oh, I need to hit 100 subscribers this year or 1,000 subscribers this year? What kept you moving forward, basically?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important to have obviously a goal, because you need to know what you're striving towards, or like what direction you go in. Otherwise, I think you run the risk of, and I've been guilty of this, having not had goals set for periods of time in my business, where you kind of get shiny object syndrome, and you're going in one way, and then you think you need to do something else, and you kind of pivot, and you're not really going anywhere. So I think having that kind of North Star is important. But certainly, if you then break that down into actions, you need to make sure that the actions are done. You don't want to be waking up every day and thinking, oh, if your goal was to hit 10K revenue, or if your goal was to sign up 10 customers in the next 6 months, you don't want to wake up thinking every day I've got to do that, because it kind of gives you this maybe overwhelming pressure if you don't feel like you're achieving that. So I'd say that's kind of the goal is a North Star. That's where you're going. That's where you're striving or walking towards. But your little actions that you have, your daily actions, are what's going to help you get there. So I think having those actions, is super important. So I think they work hand in hand. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, definitely. What's your web design process? Maybe, just what's your web design process?
Oh God, I feel like this is always changing.
Okay.
So these days, the process, and this is one way that we like to try and stand out, is our process quite heavily involves like a pre-phase of SEO. So each website that we build these days, we try to heavily sort of set them up for success on Google before we even launch them live. So our process, and this week I had a conversation with a customer, so I was having this very conversation. Typically, you go through onboarding, so we acquire their information. The invoice is paid, the contract is signed, but our onboarding, we're asking questions these days that revolve around what people are searching, or what do they think people are searching in order to find them. What search terms would they like to rank for? And then we go through a stage of keyword research, where we've got that information and we do that keyword research. And all of this takes place before we even venture into the design. So a lot of people will some people these days will just go, great, you want a website, I'm going to just go away and build it for you. Do you like it? They will either say yes or no. But we're kind of trying to be a lot more bespoke within the process and also stand out. So we do that keyword research. Once the customers sign those keywords off, we then go through site mapping. So we site map the site, understand what pages we need, and tie it to an individual keyword so we know where that keyword relates. Then when we have that site map, we can then move into the design phase. So that is, strictly speaking, this is a custom project that I'm talking about here, but that would be a custom homepage design. And this is based on some of the visuals that they've sent us, some of the websites that they've sent us that they're interested in. And we share it with them once we've got something in place. And the idea of just sharing that homepage is so they can provide us with feedback, because we don't want to supply them with like a 5-page design to only find that we're well off the mark. I mean, us being off the mark rarely ever happens. But having that homepage gives us an opportunity to flesh that out. Once they're happy, we'll then go and design the internal pages. And this kind of gives them a really strong feel for how things are going to look once it's built. And the reason why we do this is kind of like an analogy. When, if a manufacturer built a car and then the customer wanted to move the position of the wheels, like, it's impossible, really. It's going to be very difficult to do. So same thing with a website. If we've built the site and they want to make some drastic changes to it, it's really quite difficult. So we make sure that everything is taken care of visually within the design phase. They sign it off, we build it, and it kind of protects us as well, because if they say, well, actually we want to change X, Y, and Z, we can say, well, you've already signed it off. That's now additional development. So you'll either have to give it a miss if it's not that important, but if it is important, then there's an additional charge. Once they're happy with the build and we've tested everything, we just hit go. It goes live.
So is on-page SEO included within all your web designs, or
Yes.
okay?
Yeah. So
So
we
irrespective if they pay for SEO.
yes. So it's not an ongoing SEO package. It's kind of what I call a Kickstarter. So we'll do, and now there's two approaches to this. One is we write the content for them. It's a lot easier if we write the content for them because we can implement all of the on-page SEO best practices and input the keywords and stuff. But the downside to that is there tends to be a lot more feedback and revisions that need to be made because they don't care about the SEO. They're like, why is it worded like this? Can you make X, Y, and Z changes? And so there's a lot of backwards and forwards. Alternatively, we supply them with content copywriting guides so they can write the content themselves. We tell them you need to implement these keywords, write the content, and then we review the content this side. So it might be that they supply us with the content and we have to make some minor changes in order for the SEO to work. So yeah, we have on-page SEO included, but it's, don't get me wrong, it's not an ongoing kind of off-page SEO service. That's completely separate.
And what would you say are the top ways that AI can help someone's SEO without getting penalized?
This is an interesting question because I think Google have just released a major update, which is penalizing more and more websites that have been lazy with their copy. So as far as I'm aware, at the moment, AI is incredible for speeding up the process. I wouldn't rely on it to completely replace the process of, say, content writing. You know, you need to be churning out content with SEO, whether it's sales-based pages that rank or whether it's your blog articles to help build domain authority and topical authority. Having something like ChatGPT is amazing because it can write articles for you, or at the very least, you can get it to write an outline for you then to go and write the content. Sometimes the hardest part of writing a blog is starting it because you've got a blank page in front of you. But if you can get like an outline with bullet points as to what's needed to be included in that article, it doesn't take a genius to sit and type it out. And you could hire a cheap copywriter to do that, or you could do it yourselves. Or if you want to be a little bit lazier, or shall I say smarter and save time, you can just have it write the article for you and then go through it and add your tone of voice, add your own opinions, because opinions are important. That's kind of what makes it unique, and just humanize it. So you certainly need to add those three things to any article that's been generated by AI. Otherwise, I do think you run the risk of it being flagged in the future or even now. So AI is awesome from a content perspective. So that's how I would say utilize that.
What would you say are the top ways to improve conversion rate on a service website?
Yeah. Top ways would be make it really bloody clear what it is that you're offering. There's so many websites out there that when you land on it, they're trying to be fancy with their wording on their titles and things like that, or they've put everything below the fold and they've got a big hero image at the top or whatever it might be. You know, it might look nice, but people are impatient. If you're not answering the questions of who you are, how you help, and how does someone get in touch with you within the first 3 seconds, like you have a very high chance of that person just going somewhere else. So simple things like making sure that it's clear you're telling people what you do and how you help. Having a contact form above the fold typically increases the chance of conversion. Now, I don't always agree with that from a visual standpoint because depending on the website, sometimes having a form right up at the top, you don't want to be hitting people right away with it and it doesn't look aesthetically pleasing. So I understand that. But having something like your phone number in the header, it easily allows someone to click ring now. So that's going to increase the conversion. Making sure that your website copy flows nicely. Make sure that the website is visually pleasing and not overwhelming. And if you can just tap into people's pain points and explain how you solve them, you have a pretty good chance of people choosing you over going somewhere else.
Mhm. And if I was a customer, right, and I'm on Google looking for web design, say in London or Exeter, and then one website has a Calendly link where you can book a call. Let's say it's mine or yours, and the other person maybe just has a phone number. Would you say Calendly is more beneficial in that way, or would you say it isn't? Because then you do run a risk of maybe they're not available when you are. That's just a debate I'm having with myself right now.
Yeah, sure. No, and I think I've had the same debate over time. And ultimately, I would say just give options, because what it comes down to, it's not even necessarily whether they have time to talk to you when you're available. They might not want to book that call at that point. They might think, I don't want to be scheduling a Calendly call in order to talk to this business. Instead, they might want to send you an email, or they might want to use your online form, or they might want to click to call. So these days, I provide all those options, and we get inquiries through each of those. Honestly, I just couldn't call it. No, we have no preferred method of how people like to contact us, and so
Mhm,
we've kind of just kept it open. The more opportunities you provide, the higher the
mhm,
chance you have people, getting in touch with you and inquiring. So even though, like, I think on our website our phone number is quite hidden, we still get calls. Um, we I'm busy. I don't always pick up my phone, and so I prefer to be emailed, or I prefer to have that call just booked straight in. But we still get calls. So that would have been somebody that specifically was looking for a phone number to get in touch, because they would rather that method. So I would say use all three. Use Calendly, use your contact form on your website, use your phone number, and it would work.
mhm. So I'm just thinking, let's say you're fully booked for a week on Calendly.
Mm.
You don't think it puts people off?
No, I don't think that puts people off. Um, I think I mean, it looks like you're busy. So if there's demand, people, subconsciously are going to be thinking, well, why are they busy? I want a piece of that.
Mhm. Maybe just some quick fire questions just for shorts. What would you say are 5 ways someone can improve their SEO today?
Just hitting me with the big questions. 5 ways that someone can improve their SEO today. Let's go. Number one, make sure their site's fast. It's kind of a cliche, but I think with Google's updates recently, they're clamping down on slow, sluggish performing websites. So make sure that it's loading fast. And by fast, I mean like within a couple of seconds. And if you want to know how your site's performing, I think it's Google Page Speed Insights that will tell you how fast your site goes. So speed, get your keywords right. Number two, get your keywords right. And the reason for this is you need to know what people are searching in order to find you. And also you need to know how many times people are searching that. The reason being, like, we've had customers come to us and say, well, we've spent hundreds on SEO and we rank really well for this keyword. And I've gone back to them and said, well, that's great, but only 10 people are searching that keyword and you've spent so much money on trying to rank for it. So yes, you rank high for that, but the demand is low. So what you want to do is find a balance between those keywords that are still achievable but have volume. So you need to know what people are searching in order to find what it is that you're offering. So number two, get your keywords right. Number three is going to be making sure that those keywords, so after you understand what you are searching or what people are searching and what you want to rank for, get those keywords on your site. Okay, you need to make sure that it's on there in your page title, your H1 heading, a couple of times in your H2s, and then scattered around within your content. Utilize synonyms as well. You don't want what's called keyword stuff. And yeah, you'd be good there. So that's 3. Number 4, Google My Business. I think that's massively underutilized. So once you've taken care of the first 3 steps, you're going to have a fast website. You're going to know what keywords that you're going after. You're going to have those keywords on your site. Next is going to be optimizing your Google business profile. So those keywords are also in there. There's also something within your Google business profile called NAP, which is your name, address, and phone number. So you want to make sure that that NAP matches the name, address, and phone number on your website and anywhere else online. So if you have any directories, make sure that the address and phone number ties up. If you have any social media profiles, make sure that it all ties up. And that's going to help your Google business listing increase as well. Number 5, I'm stuck. Have you got one?
Maybe you can share some tips on location-based SEO when you make those landing pages. I think you taught me a while ago.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. So if we go number 5, and we utilize growth, because it's all good ranking for one location, but if you're the type of business that can service multiple locations, you dominate your initial town or city that you're based in, and then grow further afield. So the way that you rank a page is by having one keyword assigned to that single page, and you get it to rank. So, for example, if we wanted to rank for SEO in Exeter, we would dominate Exeter first. If we wanted to go to the next city, which I think to us is Plymouth, is our closest one, we would then create a separate page with similar content, but the content will be amended to talk specifically about that location. And, some people say this isn't the best way to do things, but actually it's worked very well for us. We've got countless pages ranking in multiple locations. So it does work from a growth perspective. And actually, when we did implement those additional pages within our website, our traffic just spiked probably by a good 300%. And it's leveled off now. There was an initial bulk of work that needed to be done in order for us to rank for those locations. But I mean, we had a call come in, it was last week, and I opened up the conversation and I said, "Hey man, where are you from?" And I think he said he was from Bolton. And he said, "But aren't you as well?" And I said, "No, I'm in Exeter." And he was like, "Wow, that's some really good SEO." So that, when you are able to do that, it's amazing, and then it increases the opportunity for you to acquire more customers outside of your immediate town or city.
In that case, would you say it's good to target low volume key terms? So like, I don't know, say a town receives 20 clicks a month, because all it takes is one call from that page.
Yes, I'd say in this instance, don't neglect keywords that have low volume, because you might pick up a customer. That's essentially it. I think our approach when we were rolling out these additional location-based landing pages, we didn't even do any research into how many people were searching for those towns or cities for the services that we're offering. We just kind of went hard and built out all of these pages. And if some of them ranked, great. If some of them didn't, ultimately it didn't really matter to us, because our main focus here is in the Southwest. And if we can pick up work, up north and further afield, that's brilliant. But I mean, by all means, if you want to be sort of really specific about the types of page or types of locations or places that you want to rank for, then yeah, go through and see what the opportunities are, and prioritize the ones that are important to you, prioritize the ones that have high volume and low difficulty, and then kind of work down, I would.
And do you have any tips for someone using Figma? Top tips for Figma?
No.
No. So what tool
No,
do you
not
use to
really.
do
I mean,
that?
I don't use Figma that often, to be honest.
Okay.
I still use Adobe XD. I've dipped into Figma. I've produced projects on Figma, and it's still a really cool tool. But I'm just so in love with XD at the moment. It's what I know. My workflow is pretty nailed with it, and so yeah, I love it. But if we're kind of just thinking top tips, that's a really hard one because it's it's a tool that can do so many different things. So
Mhm.
I'd just
So
say
maybe other valuable resources for web designers.
valuable resources. Go. I want to say Invato Elements. This is something I've started using recently, and
Okay.
it's really cool from a uh, visual perspective because it has so many things that you can just purchase and input into your designs. And I know you might be thinking that's cheating, but as a business, when you're trying to produce something that's high quality in the shortest amount of time, buy as
Mhm.
many assets as you can to make your workflow faster and save you time. Honestly, time is money. So I've been using Invato Elements quite a bit. There's stock photography in there. There are kind of like what we call like placeholders. So if you wanted like a shot of a mobile phone with a screen on it, you could download that from there. It also includes things like background videos. There's honestly so much on there, and so I've been using that. I used to use Adobe Stock, but I've transitioned to that now. Other resources for web designers, YouTube. I'm just going to go with YouTube. I think YouTube is such an awesome tool to learn. There's so many creators on there putting out great content. Yeah, stick with that.
Just one last question, maybe, and then we can
Yeah,
touch
man.
more about what you do. So, in terms of maybe securing the bigger clients, for example, the enterprise clients, um, how would you go about doing that? Do you think it can be done online, or is it more in person?
Uh, what do you mean by in person? Are we talking like this
Friend of a
virtually in
friend,
person or to
like
meet them?
a referral, but essentially online, in person.
So big enterprise clients, there's certainly a lot more hoops to jump through compared to a smaller business. But if it's a bigger fish, you're going to need a bigger fishing rod, essentially. So it certainly is possible. Your approaches might need to change because getting hold of the right person can be sometimes quite difficult because there's a larger hierarchy within the business and they've got gatekeepers that are designed to stop people like you and me speaking to them about their marketing or their website. So there's certainly more hoops that you need to jump through, but cold calling is probably going to be your best friend there rather than sending an email. Maybe you can reach out to the big wigs or the CEOs on LinkedIn and strike a conversation that way. But ultimately, it's all going to come down to whether they feel like there is an existing problem with their site. Because if they don't, you're going to really struggle to get their attention on you wanting to solve something that they don't see as a problem. So you need to ask them things like, how's business? Are you happy with the amount of customers that you're getting at the moment and things like that? And the reason why I say go with questions like that is because businesses want, more often than not, they want more customers. And the website actually just becomes a tool to allow you to help that business deliver more customers.
Mhm.
So I'd say maybe go down that angle rather than trying to talk to a enterprise size client or prospect, speak to the CEO and say, hey man, I want to sell you a website. Like, it's just not going to work. So once you've managed to capture their attention and you can book them in with a call, then there may be a few more hoops to jump through. They might have a board that they need to take the proposal to. It really does vary, but when in comparison to a one-man band or a small 5-person business, the small 5-person business is certainly an easier sort of sell than those larger enterprise clients.
So what do you teach in your course? Obviously, I've been in your course, and I've been a product of a success. And the good thing about yourself is you actually have a legitimate business. So it's not a get rich quick scheme sort of thing. What do you teach in your course?
Yeah, so my course, a lot of people believe that it's there to teach you web design. It's not. I built it with the assumption that people already know how to design websites, so it doesn't teach you that. But what it does teach you is all of the business skills that you need in order to run a web design business. Now, going back to when I started my freelance journey, my self-employment, I was so overwhelmed and stuck and kind of confused as to why people didn't want to work with me, and it was horrible. You have bills to pay. You kind of go through states of stress, anxiety, panic, and it was a really horrible position to be in. And I had to figure out myself, how can I fix this? So this is what this course is. This program, it's coaching by way of an online course. So there's modules, there's lessons, and there's also coaching between myself and whoever is on the course. We can do this in group coaching, or more recently, I've been working quite a lot one-to-one via direct message, and that's what you get. You get the mentorship, you get the coaching, the course, and it will essentially help you be able to find customers, understand what type of business you're building, whether it's web design, whether it's SEO, whether it's other marketing services, understand how you can find your ideal customer, understand what offers you need, or what offer you need to build within your business to make yourself look and appear unique and attractive, how to pick up the phone and cold call someone, how to send an email cold, how to grow that so you could have multiple email accounts sending emails simultaneously. Like there's honestly, there's so much in there, and I've kind of developed this over the last few years, really. Having been an agency owner myself, like everything's changing. It changes so fast. And so I'm constantly figuring out new ways of doing things. And once I have certain bits within my business figured out, I then look to see how I can wrap that up into the course and share it with other people.
I think what I liked about your course, and I still follow to this day, is the productivity section. So it was like, do 2 main tasks today and then do 2 small tasks today. Is that something you sort of abide by nowadays, or is
Yeah,
that
it's, I've literally got a list next to me with my tasks on it. So I still follow this approach. I've had it on pen and paper. I've had it on a Notion board. I've had it in Trello. Like I've tried to utilize different ways of having it in front of me, but still setting. I think I have around 5 tasks a day with 2 main tasks that I need to get done. Often it's the one task that I don't want to do that I'll put first, because as soon as that's out of the way, then I can just crack on and enjoy the rest of my day. I've found, I remember back in the day when I was cold calling, I honestly, I didn't enjoy doing it. And so I would try and put that back towards the end of the day, but then my day was ruined because that's all I would think about. But when I switched it and getting it done, it's what they call like eat the frog. Just get it done, and then you can focus on the other tasks and probably have a pretty nice, chilled, relaxed day while you're doing it. So that's what I found. But yeah, I'm glad you found it useful, because it certainly helped me. Yeah, you stay really productive. You put your tasks together in kind of achievable segments, and it kind of comes back to that goal setting thing again. If each of those tasks that are on your list, are helping you move towards your goal, you just have to focus on those tasks, and the goal will just come closer and closer.
I think we've pretty much covered everything. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, mate, it's been a pleasure. It's good catching up.
Thank you.
And thanks obviously for just firing all the questions at me.
No worries. I think you've done very good. And where can people find you?
Oh, you can find me on YouTube. So just search my name, Tristan Parker. On Instagram, I am at the Web Design Life. So you can find me there as well. Or I think you can search Tristan Parker on Instagram and I'll come up at some point. Or I am also on TikTok, just messing around on there. So yeah, feel free to get me in any of those places.
Okay, perfect. Thank you very much for your time.